Everyone asks what the best sim racing game in VR is, but when you're running the Pimax Crystal Light or the Pimax Super, the real question is which sims actually scale to this level of clarity. Because ultra high resolution, wide field of view and razor sharp optics expose everything. So today I'm counting down my top 5 PCVR sim racing titles ranked by how incredible they look and feel on Pimax. And number 1, let's begin the countdown and find out.
Play it on Pimax.
Take on the world. We're gonna take on the world. We're gonna take on the world. We're gonna take on the world.
Coming in at number 5 is Assetto Corsa EVO, and this one is all about potential. EVO is laying down the foundations for the future of the Assetto Corsa franchise with a brand new engine, modern lighting and native VR support built from the ground up. While it's still evolving, what's exciting here is how clean and sharp the VR image already feels. Combined with solid performance and the familiar Assetto Corsa DNA, it's not fully there yet, but EVO is absolutely the one to watch. So we are kicking things off and we are in Assetto Corsa EVO, and you're probably going to be wondering why you're starting this video off with a game that essentially isn't even a finished title. Well, that's pretty much the way of the world nowadays with a lot of racing simulator titles that are launched, and I would argue that is any racing simulator even ever finished, because we're undergoing a series of updates seemingly every couple of months now on most of the racing simulator titles, and that's not a bad thing. But the reason why I'm including Assetto Corsa EVO is this actually recently has had 0.4 updates, and prior to that update I would say that it was getting better, but it was never really going to make it into any compendium video of top VR racing simulators, especially on the Pimax Super, because this is of course a high resolution VR headset, and of course you expect the best. You only want the best when you are using a Pimax Super. You want desktop quality visuals and you want desktop quality performance. And are you getting that now? Well, I've got to say again that this is pretty impressive now. So I'm driving the Porsche 911 GT3 and we're on the Nürburgring 24-hour circuit. And the reason I like the Nürburgring to use as a benchmark track on VR titles is because of course you have a lot of foliage going on, as you can see, and it looks tremendous in Assetto Corsa Evolution, and I always use the trees as a real benchmark of quality in driving simulation titles, because it can really let them down, because obviously it's a big detractor when you've got something that's blatantly 2D. These are rendered really nicely and look absolutely fantastic. As well as that, we've obviously got a large crowd, you can see. And Mishka, who as you may know is the Nürburgring god, has recently also featured Assetto Corsa Evolution as in the Nürburgring circuit. And it's even had his stamp of endorsement on the track as well, saying how he feels it's probably the most realistic variation of this particular track. For me personally, I have to agree. Now, I've driven this on a number of different racing simulator titles, and we will also be including this again in some other titles further along the line in this video. But the real thing that blows me away now about the Assetto Corsa Evolution update is that this does feel absolutely spot on. I actually do feel like I'm getting a real level of responsiveness from this 911 GT3, not only through the Moser R9 I'm using here, but also I've got the Next Level Racing HF8 haptic seat, and I'm getting a real good feedback from everything beneath me here. It feels like a direct level of feedback from what the tyres are doing, and it's absolutely spot on. It really is good. There's a real nice balance, a real nice weighting to the vehicle as well. And it's not just the 911 GT3, so of course there have been a number of vehicle updates applied to this 0.4 update, including of course the Ferrari SF25 driven by Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton as well. As you can see, it's visually stunning, and in the Pimax Super 50 ppd I'm using here, equally as good. It's desktop level quality visuals, it's flowing past really nicely. There is a little bit of pop-up occurring. Other than that, there's nothing really to complain about here. The lighting is really nice, the textures are really nice, and everything simply pops. And it's actually flowing really nicely as well. Now, as a standard, in VR, it's actually locked at a 60 FPS frame rate in the settings, but of course you can unlock that to 90 FPS, which is what I have it set to here. And there's nothing to complain about whatsoever. It really looks fantastic and feels super smooth as well. So this is on the Pimax Super 50 ppd, number 5 in my top 2026 driving simulation titles.
Thank you to Pimax partners to the channel for providing all Next Level Sim gamers yet more incredible offers. Pimax is running Christmas discounts on both the Crystal Light and the Crystal Super. And if you use my link in the description and enter the code NLSimGaming, or scan the QR code on screen, and you'll get extra savings on top of the Christmas deal. And there's also a limited super only discount. Use the code NLSimGaming80 to get $80 off a headset version until the 31st of December. At number 4, we've got Le Mans Ultimate, and this is a sim that shines when it comes to endurance racing immersion. Built on the R-Factor 2 engine, the force feedback and physics are exceptional, and in VR the sense of weight, braking and tyre load is genuinely impressive. And in officially licensed hypercars, LMPs, dynamic weather and full day-night transitions, when everything clicks, Le Mans Ultimate in VR feels seriously authentic.
So this time, number 4 on my list, this is Le Mans Ultimate, and this is a absolutely incredible sim racing title. It's the official Le Mans game, and it's Studio 397's absolute flagship title at the moment. It's really difficult to portray how good this looks in virtual reality, but also how amazing it feels to play as well. Now, obviously, of course, I've never driven a hypercar in reality, and I never would be able to drive a hypercar in reality, and probably would never fit in a hypercar in reality, but if I could imagine what it's like to drive one, in other words, super sharp responsiveness, absolute lightning in terms of the way that the car reacts, and super acceleration, this is on point to all of those factors. Now, you really have to be on your toes with this, because of course in a hypercar, we're hitting 300 kilometers an hour, and we're slowing down to literally speeds of 20-30 kilometers an hour to take some corners, all within a matter of seconds. This is an incredible adrenaline rush experience, but it pulls it off so nicely. Now, as well as having the hypercars in this amazing game, it also has obviously the GT cars as well. It's very difficult for me to portray this, but as I'm driving past here, the visuals are really difficult to summarise. The Pimax Super 57 ppd is of course a retina level optical engine, and it just looks absolutely beautiful, it really does, and it's quite an unusual choice for me to bring to sim racing, and I've mentioned this before. I am drawn back to the 57 ppd because I love the retina level visuals, but also it gives you a performance boost as well. So if you have a GPU that's perhaps not a 5080 or a 5090, you can achieve far higher performance by using the 57 ppd. You may think that's counterintuitive, because if I'm saying it's got retina level visuals, then you're probably going to think, well, how are those visuals translated into better performance? The field of view is narrower on the 57 ppd, therefore there is less real estate to render, and therefore you are getting better performance. And it's also the way that the actual optics are essentially created as well. There are a number of different factors to it other than just the real estate that's been rendered, but all I can say is that you are looking at perhaps a 20 FPS increase over using one of the other optical engines in some sim racing titles. Now this also is a very counterintuitive game in the respect that we are running this on ultra settings. Everything is maxed out in this, there's no concessions, and this threw me initially when I actually played Le Mans Ultimate in virtual reality, because like all VR titles, the first thing you will do is you'll start to explore the limits of performance in the same way we explore the limits of handling within a vehicle. And you normally start off somewhere around medium settings, and you would normally work your way up and tentatively push the boundaries. And the visuals in this were, initially when I started playing it, really poor, and it was something that I essentially had a couple of goes on and then essentially just left it on the shelf, so to speak, for a long time. I then came back to it and was told that the best way to play this is to actually just max everything out, which is what I did, and it's just like a completely different game. But I'm getting 90 FPS at 90 Hz mode, even on the Pimax Super ultra wide, and even on the 50 ppd using an RTX 5090, but it's really well optimized. And Studio 397, I believe, are in some way connected to Pimax as well. So of course Pimax have obviously had some intervention in terms of the development of this game in virtual reality as well, and it shows, it really shows, very much so. So again, it's a incredible experience. It is very much worthy of being up here in the top 5 PC VR simulator titles on Pimax Super, and it's moving forward into 2026. I've never seen a VR simulator have so many updates as this particular title over the last year, and that seems to be carrying on that trend. There's definitely a lot of love being put into this game, and it definitely feels and translates very well into the actual title itself. It's definitely up there with the best of them, and definitely one that's worthy to be added to your essentials purchase list if you are looking for a PC VR simulator title to try out on your new Pimax Super.
Number 3 is Automobilista 2, and this is one of the most VR friendly sim racers ever made. It runs incredibly well in VR and supports a huge range of cars and tracks, and delivers some of the smoothest performance you'll ever find, even in the most demanding conditions. AMS2 might not always get the spotlights, but for variety, visuals and weather effects and sheer fun factor in VR, it's an absolute gem.
So this time we are on Automobilista 2, and this is number 3 on my list of the top 5 2026 sim racing titles. And Automobilista 2 is one of those games that has been around again for some significant time, like many of the PC sim racing titles we actually have as well. But I've got to say that it's like a fine wine, this. It just keeps getting better and better with every single update. This is the 2025 Nürburgring Nordschleife, and we've received a significant update probably around a few months ago now, and it was penned to be the most realistic variation of the Nordschleife, and I really do enjoy actually driving around on this. It looks absolutely beautiful. The thing with Automobilista 2 is it's very well optimized in virtual reality as well, and it plays at 90 FPS 90 Hz, and that's with a few settings tweaked. And I will be sharing those settings in my Discord channel if you want to check that out. So I will be including all sim racing settings in there, which may help users, obviously, especially users to Pimax Super or the Pimax Crystal Light, if you're struggling to get your games working well. But it's always been really well optimized on every single Pimax headset. PC specification wise, I'll link my PC specification in there as well, but obviously I'm running an RTX 5090 and an Intel Core Ultra 9285K, and I'm running this at high resolution in 1.0 in Pimax Play, and we are on the 50 ppd optical engine again, and it's buttery smooth. It really does look absolutely fantastic. The thing I would say with it, probably a little bit detrimental in some ways, is that I think it's a little bit too colourful, a little bit too cartoonish, but other than that, that's not a real bad gripe to have. It looks beautiful, and there's no artifacting, there's no issues in terms of aliasing, and in the levels of detail in this is desktop quality. If you're looking for a sim racing title that gives you that desktop quality visual look, then this is it. Now the other thing as well is it's had a number of recent updates as well. So we had the new Lamborghini DLC recently, and also one thing I absolutely love now as well, in case you haven't already seen this, I'm in the BMW E46 M3 GTR, and any sim racing title that gives me the opportunity to drive around in one of these just gives me a huge smile on my face straight away. It's absolutely fantastic and drives absolutely beautifully. So it's an amazing title, but there are some downfalls with AMS2. Now if you're looking for an online racing experience, of course you're very limited with this. And the other thing as well is, in AI aspects of it has improved significantly. I think the AI can be a bit janky in this sometimes. Now talking of DLCs, and I talked about Lamborghinis, you can see there's a Murcielago just up front there. So we're a little bit outweighed in terms of competition in this event already, but the Lamborghini Murcielago, which I have featured in another video on this, those Lamborghini DLC cars are absolutely fantastic. But of course there's a cost to entry with this. The DLCs obviously are all there, and they need to be purchased if you want to make this a significant title. So if you're wanting to get this, a great time to buy this game would be in the sale, the Steam sale, which is normally occurs around sort of January time. If you're watching this in December when this video is being launched, then it would be a good time to obviously look at purchasing the DLCs at those times, because they're around £10 each, and there are quite a few that you need to get to make this a enjoyable experience. When I say enjoyable experience, I mean get the vehicles, the tasty ones obviously like this. It's one of those games that if you are looking at PCVR simulator titles, then this is one of those that you probably would start off playing. It would be this and Assetto Corsa normally, and the reason for that is because normally these do appear in those Steam sales as already mentioned. I'm too busy talking, I'm falling completely behind here as you can see, so I'm still going to keep up. It's very difficult to obviously talk and race at the same time, but I'm having an absolutely fantastic experience. Now feedback wise, everything is great on this. So I'm using the Moza R9 and the Moza GS V2 wheel in this example here, and it's very intuitive AMS2, very easy to set up, great out of the box, and that's another real good attribute to it as well. It's not difficult to get up and running quickly, and also I'm also using the Next Level Racing HF8 haptic seat as well, which this game is compatible with. And the feedback I'm getting, obviously not only through the force feedback, which is fantastic, but from the actual beneath me, as in I can feel real good feedback from the road surface here. It feels really, really nice and really, really tactile. But this BMW M3 E46 GTR is an absolute gem, and I absolutely love this vehicle. So, Automobilista 2, again, number 3 on my list of top 2026 titles, and the continuity of support for this game undoubtedly will carry on very much so into 2026, and it is, in my view, really one of the top titles that you can get.
At number 2, Assetto Corsa with the Pure mod. And this one is special, so despite its age, Assetto Corsa in VR can still look jaw-dropping, thanks to the Pure's lighting, weather and atmospheric overhaul. When paired with this high-quality mod, custom tracks and the right VR headset, it delivers a level of visual immersion that honestly rivals modern sims. It's proof that with the right mods, Assetto Corsa is still a VR powerhouse.
So this is Assetto Corsa, and this is number 2 on my list, and the reason Assetto Corsa is number 2 on my list is quite simply because this game is whatever you want it to be. It's simply fantastic in every respect. It's still amazing now in terms of the actual driving physics. It feels absolutely amazing, but you may notice that this doesn't look like the Assetto Corsa you may buy and purchase from Steam in the sale for around a few pounds, which is what this game normally is nowadays when the Steam sales happen. This is running the pure modification, and we also have a number of other modifications running on here as well. The pure modification transforms this game into a current state sim racing title. As well as this, there are a number of websites as well and modding communities that support this game, and all of this is simply achieved by using a system called Content Manager, where you can simply drag and drop the cars, the tracks, and you can get these things completely free, and you can make this game absolutely amazing. And I'm not the only person to say this as well. There's a number of other sim racing enthusiasts that still rate Assetto Corsa as being one of the best PCVR driving sims out there. The other thing as well with Assetto Corsa, you've also got some amazing bolt-ons as well, like No Hesitation, where you can drive through the Tokyo Expressway. You've got some incredible vehicles as well, and they're so detailed, and these vehicles that you can get for free, it still never ceases to amaze me that the sheer quality of these is as good as, if not better than, ones you would get on titles such as iRacing, where you are paying an absolute country mile for vehicles and for tracks. You've got it all in here for free. If you are starting off in PC sim racing, this is probably one of those titles that you would pick up first, because obviously of the very low cost of entry. But don't let that put you off. This again, as well as being incredibly highly modified, is an absolute hoot to play, and you've just got so much available to make it an incredible experience. Now on the Pimax Super again, I'm getting 90 FPS and 90 Hz on the 50 ppd. This is at Silverstone. Now Silverstone is one of those official tracks that you can obviously purchase as a DLC, but the DLC's official ones are rock bottom for this nowadays, and I would definitely highly recommend supporting Kunos, the developers of this game, in purchasing those as well. But this Lotus Evora that I'm driving around here handles absolutely beautifully, and I've just gone into the lead as well, which is fantastic on the final lap. But it just looks so detailed, absolutely amazing, and this is a free vehicle to download. So again, number 2 on my list, and very well deserved. You know, this is an absolutely fantastic title, and certainly worth its number 2 spots in my top 5 PC VR simulator titles.
And taking the top spot, iRacing. When it comes to pure competitive sim racing in VR, nothing else comes close. The laser scan tracks, unmatched online racing, rock solid performance, and razor sharp VR clarity make it the gold standard. Yes, it's expensive, yes, it's serious, but if you want the most convincing sense of being on track wheel to wheel in VR, iRacing is still king.
Okay, so at number 1 we have, of course, iRacing. You knew it was going to be iRacing because, let's face it, there is no better PC VR driving simulator than iRacing. iRacing is just absolutely incredible on the Pimax Super. It is almost like a match made in heaven, it really is. I actually unsubscribed from iRacing for a while when I was doing some other projects, and I came back to it and it had a new UI overhaul, and I am just absolutely in love with the game again now. It is just simply astonishing. iRacing is absolutely optimized to perfection in VR, and if you are using a Pimax Super 50 ppd like I'm using here, you also have the benefit of also utilizing some other features as well. I'm saying just using the Pimax Super 50 ppd, of course the other optical engines also do the same as well. We're talking about dynamic foveated rendering and quad views. Now most PC simulator titles don't include any of these sort of features. iRacing has you covered in that respect. I'm getting 90 FPS at 90 Hz here, and everything is buttery smooth. I don't need to use it, obviously having an RTX 5090 here, but if I had a GPU such as perhaps a 4080 or something like that, you can also activate that feature and it will give you increase performance and get you up to the levels of 90 FPS at 90 Hz. And what does it do, you may ask? Well, I've featured this in another video in a bit more detail, but in the simplest form, the Pimax Super has eye tracking by Tobii, who are an industry-leading eye tracking provider, and I'm also actually affiliated with Tobii as well. So the eye tracking technology utilizes the dynamic foveated rendering, so in other words it follows your eye movements around on the point of screen where you're looking at, and it will render that section at a higher quality than the outer peripherals, and it will then lower the pressure on the GPU by doing so. It's something that you actually won't even notice because the eye tracking is actually so precise and so fast. It just has to be experienced to be believed, it really does. It's absolutely incredible, and I really do wish that more titles did include those sort of features to make the entry level for performance better for many Pimax users, because obviously these are very high resolution VR headsets. And the Nürburgring nose clip, I'm driving the Porsche 911 GT3 again here, and everything is absolutely super detailed, everything is pin sharp, the detail is amazing, the foliage is amazing, and these guys know what they're doing with virtual reality. They concentrate on everything that's important, ignore everything that's not. Just going back to the other previous titles we've looked at on the same track, I think this is less saturated and therefore looks far more realistic in virtual reality. And the other thing as well to mention, that it's just crisp, it just looks and feels smooth. There's no shadows popping in like I saw on Automobilista 2. It looks realistic, the trees don't look 2D, and it really is just really nice, an absolutely incredible experience. Of course the trees are 2D, and if I looked really closely at them I would see that effect, but driving past have done a really good job of making this look nice. Now the other thing as well is that if you're talking about wanting desktop quality visuals, the visuals I'm seeing in this are desktop quality. They look absolutely incredible. And I think that's really important, because when you're looking at virtual reality, you're wanting something that's going to take you away from the desktop or the ultra-wide monitor or the multi-monitor setups. The Pimax Super is the only headset that I've ever used that truly can wear that crown. And I've used other VR headsets, obviously Quest 3, Quest Pro, the Play for Dream MR, but the Pimax Super really is the king for PC VR simulator titles, obviously because not only it's ultra high resolution, it's got those features we mentioned, the Tobii eye tracking, and obviously the other incredible features as well. It's incredibly comfortable to wear in PC simulator titles as well, but the most important feature of course is the direct DisplayPort connectivity, so there's no compression or decompression. And for PC simulator titles you want immediate response, and that's obviously incredibly important. Now it's not all good news with iRacing of course. iRacing is the only title shown today that features a subscription model, so it's pay to play. The monthly subscription is around £10 in UK money, and of course you can pay for that monthly if you wish to, or you can pay an annual subscription. On top of that as well, the actual vehicles are also purchased as well, so you actually do have to also purchase additional vehicles and additional tracks in iRacing. So it can become an incredibly expensive hobby. I would put it down as hobby because essentially iRacing is a hobby. And don't just take my words for it, you know, this title is used by legends such as Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc. You know, you've got some incredible followings in iRacing, and of course it is everything you want it to be in a PC simulator title. Moving into 2026, I'm pretty certain this is only going to get better. I'm really surprised every time I launch this game as to how amazing it is in terms of development, and of course the developers of this game are second to none in terms of what they do. And that's not only in virtual reality. For example, I'm using the Moza R9 here, and I've got the Moza CRP load cell pedals as well. And the CRP load cell pedals, everything just works out of the box settings wise. I've got the Next Level Racing HF8 haptic seat as well, and I can feel everything right down to the best levels of detail you could possibly get. it's given me the confidence to attack things in this. You have to be really accurate in iRacing as well. It's not like the other simulator titles, it's extremely unforgiving. As you probably heard, I'm locking the brakes up on certain occasions and certain points this here as well. I'm a little bit wooden on this because I haven't played it for some time, admittedly, but it's unforgiving. You make one mistake in iRacing and that's it, it's game over. There is no getting out of that, but it certainly encourages you to be better as a PC simulator driver, and if you're wanting the best, then simply this is it. If you're wanting to race online as well, you have an iRacing system. The iRacing system is a fair adjudication of growth as a driver, but also it has a incredibly strict moderation process as well, so it's one of those titles that you are not going to get away with any foul play. You'll simply be kicked and permanently banned from the title if you do so. That in itself just keeps the idiots away, I feel, as well, and it's certainly worth it in that respect, because if you played Le Mans Ultimate or other titles online, one thing that is incredibly frustrating is that you do unfortunately get some people who are just out there to ruin the experience for you. This is my #1 title of 2026 so far. This is iRacing, and I'm sure it's only going to get better and better.
So that's my top 5 PC VR sim racing titles when you're running the Pimax Crystal Light or the Pimax Super. At this level of resolution and clarity, the differences between the sims really stand out, and choosing the right one makes all the difference. If it's helped you decide which sim to jump into next, hit that like button, bash subscribe for more next level VR content, and let me know in the comments which sim racing title looks the most insane on the Pimax for you. I'll see you on the track.